Hello, this is Lorna, and I'm back with another Duel Links video. I am continuing where I left off. As you can see, I'm still doing Quattro. I did beat my old high score, and I'm now... I'll show you that I did a lot of damage in one duel. So I stopped being rank C and moved out to rank A. Anyway, now that I have a draw. Well, anyway. There is one duel when I was actually the highest damage dealer. That was nice. Since I'm usually the last one. So, my damage rank is A now. In one duel, I dealt 62,900 damage. That was amazing. Especially since I was on auto duel the entire time. Okay. No, as much as I'd like to auto duel my way out of this, I'm just not going to. Now, let's see. How much damage can I do to you this time, Quattro? And I'm going to deal you as much damage as I possibly can. So get ready. Get ready. I'm going to do as much damage to you as I can. So believe me, you better be ready, because if you're not going to be able to stand up to this. Oh yes, that's right. I'm sure you think you're a guy. I'm sure you think you're so tough. You think you're going to win, but no, you aren't. I'm going to kick your ass into next week. Do you like it? It's my special technique. The technique is called kick Quattro's ass. That technique. The kick Quattro's ass technique. It may not roll off the tongue very well, but that's what it's for. Oh dear, you think you're a threat. You don't have shit on me, dude. Oh, you attacked. Oh, how great. It must be nice to be you. It must be quite nice. Quite nice indeed. But I'm going to show you why I'm playing a protagonist. Okay, you know what? I am not... Give me a second. I'm going to show you why, well, yeah, I'm not really talking like a protagonist either. Now, to be honest, in real life, I definitely disapprove of how Quattro treats his fans. But it is pretty nice to see him being upfront about it. Like, you know, he knows that he treats his fans pretty bad, but he's showing them every part of himself. That's nice. Like, he's not just treating them kindly and then nothing else. They get to see everything. How many people can say that? That they show their fans that kind of authenticity. Very few, I must admit. But Quattro does take things a bit far sometimes. But, you know, who also takes things a bit far too sometimes? Me, definitely. I'm going to be honest. Okay, so how did I do? I know your life points went down to 0. Okay. Oh, nice, nice. I did the most damage. It's always nice for me to see that. I also like that I'm getting keys from this. Yeah, I love getting keys, especially since I use so many of them. I duel you. It's only fair to duel you here and there. Though I am often very tempted to just auto-duel. Yeah, auto-duel can be fine, but I think I do overuse it. So, I've already got the perfect move for you. The perfect move! I'm sure you aren't going to like it very much, but you know what? It's not about what you'll like, it's about what I want. So let's get down to business, shall we? I already know what I want. I already know what my strategy is. Do you know yours? Do you? I bet you think you do, but you don't. That's right, that's right. I'm taking you down. That's great. That's great. Keep taking these attacks. Keep taking them all. I'll show you a good time. I'll show you everything. Oh yeah, that's right. I'll show you everything. I'll show you everything I've got. Okay, I attack you again. And again. Oh, that's right. Again and again and again. Every single time. I'll show it to you over and over. Okay. Alright. You think you've got what it takes to destroy me? Well, listen, dude. I've got it all. Everything. And you think you can just come in here? Oh, you may think you've got a lot going for you, but do you? That's right, do you? I attack you again and again and again. I'll finish you off before you know it. Okay, that was a stupid decision. I can't believe I did that. It doesn't matter though, because it's almost over. Though, since I did that, I kind of gave up reducing his life points to 0. And that's awfully depressing, I must say, to have given something like that up. Okay, I add 1 hero monster from my deck to my hand. And I'm going to use ancient rules to summon it. That's right. This card is coming to the field. To a field near you. Okay. Now, I know I may not be the best player in this game, but I'm sure I can deal you plenty of damage. That's right! You're going down. May not be how I preferred for you to go down, but you're still getting your ass kicked. Now you summon another monster, are you? Well, I'm sure you want to kick ass. You aren't kicking anyone's ass, dude. I'm kicking the ass. I'm destroying you. That's it. You have been annihilated. That's right, that's right. You've been taken out. I'm going to continue this for quite some time. After all, I've got a goal, and when I've got a goal, I reach it. Okay. So how am I doing? Ah, yes. I can see that I didn't do quite as well as I thought. Obviously, I wasn't going to after that horrendous move, but it was still very nice. Still very nice, I must say. So, there's definitely a lot of effort that goes into trying to max out the score. So, yeah, it's definitely quite the grind. And while I know that's the point of raid events, it's not going to stop me from doing as much damage as I can. Although by the end of this event, I guess I'll probably be done doing 4. I'll just feel so done. Okay, well, I see how this goes. I see how it's going. Just everything. Well, this guy has a lot of life points. I mean, this 4 does. Okay, I have no idea what happened, but the AI is doing some very stupid shit over here. I mean, just saying, I'm roasting the AI for what I know that it's actually pretty horrible that I'm not doing him more than I am. But, you know, dude, can you stop? He started with like he started with basically 60,000. And this is the best you can do with my deck. The AI is horrible, I swear. I've seen better from this. Okay, well, you know what? I am so disappointed. So very disappointed that the AI cannot use my deck better. But I kind of deserve it because I was not doing any of the doing. So that's sort of what I get for that. And that's sort of what I get. Okay. Well, I still get points. I like that at least. Although I still could have done much better. And now I've almost dealt 1 million points to him. Now I'm doing these assists right now because I want to get those out of the way. But I believe I can't just assist my way through this entire event. I probably have to battle him like myself, pretty much. So we'll see how that goes. For now, I just like to take the time to appreciate this event. Because I love events like this. Where I just get to help other players defeat someone. Some adversary. But I must say, I'm probably acting a bit antagonistic myself. But part of that is just, I'm just trying to be entertaining. Now, maybe some people out there don't think I'm being entertaining, but if I have to act like myself in everything I play, I swear that would be so boring for people to watch. Like, why would people want to watch me and be someone I'm not? I mean, why would someone want to see me just being who I am? Like, that's not entertaining. I mean, sure, it's nice if you want me to be normal, but I think most people would like to actually, you know, play a game and pretend to be someone. Like, this is my personality when I'm playing this game. Sometimes I actually use my real personality, but that's not how I want everything to go. Okay, give me a second. Okay, I've defeated the raid boss 15 times. Wow. Okay, yeah, I'm definitely speeding through some of these. Like, let me look. Okay, available until, yeah, wow. I am definitely going through these. Like, I have to do 50 assists. I've done 14 so far. So I'm going to go back in there and do some more assists. And now, because assists are going to be important, I must say that I already can tell I'm doing better than I did with the 3 event. Yeah, I'm doing so much better. And I like that. I like that I'm doing better. I mean, even though this is a raid event, and the last event I did wasn't a raid event, I am at least familiar with how a raid event works, which helps here. And though I think the game explains how the raid works. But the raid basically works just like it works in pretty much every game with raids. Players team up to defeat an opponent with an absurd amount of life points, at least in this case. And because of the cooperation of the players, the raid boss is then defeated. Now, obviously, I would like to, I would like to be more involved, but I think that because of all the points I need to complete this event, that it is definitely going to be hell if I just duel my way through every one of them. So auto-dueling helps a bit, not really in the kind of way I would have preferred, but I will do this as often as I can, just for the keys. Yeah, just for the keys. And I have to assist 50 times. I'm not sure if I can actually assist that many times before the game just stops me. But I'm going to see how many I can do. Now, obviously, it's interesting to see me actually duel instead of watching the AI do it. But I would rather be... I mean, I don't want to burn myself out here. Like, there are a lot of points required to finish off this event. So if I want to complete it, I need to make sure I'm not doing what I did during the last event, which was effectively burning myself out, if we're going to be honest here. I mean, you know I was going batshit when I was doing 3, just trying to get all the missions completed and the event itself. So I am definitely doing a lot better in comparison. Oh, and by the way, that was a most disgusting display of skills ever. I know the AI can do better than this. But, you know, whatever. In any case, I do plan to do participate again at some point. I wanted a break. Yeah, that's right. Like, I need to make sure I don't overdo this. Plus, I mean, it's going to get tougher. But at least I can have the hope that even though it's going to get tougher and all that, I do have the appreciation that comes with I can play the game better now. So I don't have to do that horrific. I do not have. Oh God, that was horrible. That was horrible. That's all the damage I did. Okay, well, I'm past 1 million. And now, if anyone remembers, you actually need you need more than this to get to the next level, to get the next reward. But yeah, there are still quite a lot left, but this bar is getting bigger. Like, it did not take very long for me to just climb up past 1 million. And I am glad. I'm glad about that. Because this means that I can finish the event much faster than I finished the 3 event. And when I do that, I can keep doing Quattro over and over and over to my heart's content. It'll be amazing. Okay. Okay. You know, I really consider the moves that the AI makes rather questionable at times. So I should do a real duel. I mean, especially since I'm live. Like, this is the most unprofessional way of doing anything. I mean, most people cut out the footage of them doing things like this. But that's also because those people, they have more people to take into consideration. Like I'm still building my platform. And sure, uploading a bunch of videos in a single day is probably unnecessary, but I really... Oh, he lost. That's great. I don't even know how much damage I did. Okay. Okay, I didn't do the biggest amount. But I definitely had an extra deck monster out there. So that's always good. That's always nice to see. And I can just keep going. And that's right, I can keep going as often as I wish. So while I'm doing all this, you may be wondering, what is the point of doing all of this? There's nothing interesting going on. You're not even playing the game. Well, I think I have to address this. Because, obviously, there's not a whole lot of incentive to watch me doing a bunch of auto duels if I'm not going to talk about other things, at least. So, I'll do it. I'll think about it. Yeah, I'll think about it, sure. I have been reflecting on the fact that I do actually do a lot of auto duels, and sometimes I've got things to say and sometimes I don't. Now, if you're familiar with what a raid duel is, then you're familiar with how this event works already. Like, you basically know. And you don't even need to worry about you don't even have to be confused because you're already familiar with how this kind of thing works. Well, basically, the thing I'm seeing here is I need over 10 million points to max out on rewards. And now if you can just imagine me with my new deck just going in there trying to complete this event with the absolute bare minimum. Like, can you imagine me going through every duel manually just to max out the event? Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure not every player is doing this, because if they were, auto duel wouldn't even exist. I mean, seriously. So, what do I think I can do to make this more interesting? Especially since the footage isn't... Well, I can definitely go more into what caused me to start recording tonight. But I'm not sure if there's really anything new to say. Well, I can try to find something. I know that I've been through a lot of hard times. And those hard times can blind me here and there. And because I've been through so much that I sometimes forget that times have changed. And I mean, it's obvious that times have changed. I acknowledge that times have changed. But the child inside of myself is still wounded, like nothing changed. Like everything is still how it was in the past, and that part of me, that childlike energy, still needs to be processed and healed. And I have not healed yet because I'm still dealing with all that pain because of how much I'm still dealing with all that pain because of how much is there and how much hasn't been dealt with. Like, I thought I dealt with my past and all that, and I've dealt with a lot of it. I dealt with a lot of it, but the truth is, and there is still a lot that I have to do in order to heal. And a lot of that healing it's not going to be a pleasant progress. It's not going to be a pleasant process to heal. Like, we are talking about messy stuff here. Because I've been through a lot of shit, so it's kind of impossible for me to just, well, you know. I can't just ignore everything that is... What did his life point start at? I mean, that was fast. Okay. Well, anyway. Back to what I was saying, I've got a lot of healing to do, and that healing is very messy. Like, you'll see me roasting 4 over here, but, I am definitely still dealing with a lot of shit. Like, it's fine and all that to say that I've done a lot of work and I've healed a lot, and it's fine to acknowledge that, but In the same vein, a significant part of myself still is hanging on to the past. And for the longest time, I didn't even realize it. But then last year happened, and I realized that I'm still healing. I realized that I still have so much work left to do. And I've got to start to accept myself, but that's just very difficult because I'm not used to people accepting me. I'm used to people outright rejecting me and hating me. I'm not used to normal reactions to me. So when people legitimately just accept me, like they don't judge who I am and all that, I'm not used to it. I don't know. I mean, it's going to take me a while to get used to it when I find people out there that I know for a fact won't just kick me to the curb. And I mean, I'm sure there are plenty of people out there that aren't going to just kick me to the curb. But there is a resistance to moving on, even with that in mind, because you have to remember that my childhood was very tough. But how much could I possibly have healed from if I was born with issues? Well, I'm not sure what exactly is going on here. Because from an internal level, I don't feel necessarily that my past was all that bad. Like, I can think of pasts that are definitely much worse. But then I think about everything I've been through, and oh, no assist duels available. Okay. Does this mean I'm out? Okay, well, no, it just means that Duel Links had a temporary fart or something. Anyway, all this healing that I've got to do, I don't like to accept that people have had it worse than me. And now do I say it? Yes. But I don't like to accept someone else's suffering as being more important than mine. I mean, that's a very dark way of looking at it. But I actually, truly, legitimately mean that the thought that someone else is suffering was so much more than what I've experienced. It's like there's a barrier there. Now, why does this barrier exist? Well, a lot of that has to do with the fact that I've got so much unexpressed baggage. I have not expressed my pain. I have not shown it to anyone. So as a result, not everyone knows that I'm wounded. In fact, most people probably don't, because I have not expressed it. Now, if I were to express it, then I'm sure it would be much easier to heal. But the big barrier to me healing is just simply the fact that, well, it's just not that easy. It doesn't come down to being an easy process. I've still been through a lot. And keeping in mind all these people that have dealt with things that are so much worse and have so much more difficult problems developed as a result of that, it just leaves me livid. And why would it leave me livid? Well, because of how I live with someone that does have issues that are so much greater than mine, and I feel like those have brought something out of me. And that part of me is the child part of me. The part of me that a therapist could talk to you about, and I'd be like, I don't know. What's an inner child? How do you talk to it? I don't understand. like I had a therapist like this, and I was talking about the inner child, and I was like, what? I don't understand, I don't compute. But this one person suddenly triggered the emergence of that inner child. And it was painful because at first I'm just like, what's going on? Why am I acting so much younger than my age? Like, I'm an adult. Shouldn't I be acting like one? But then I really, really thought about it. I really thought about why I could be responding in such a drastic way. Well, it is actually quite simple. It's because part of me from when I was a child is still heavily wounded. And because of that side of myself being heavily wounded, I cannot interact with people who have so much worse trauma to release, because it's like no one paid attention to me when I was traumatized. It's like no one paid attention to my pain. No one gave me any slack just because I was... It's like those kinds of things that children think before they're an adult and they can properly understand and this kind of stuff. I've been thinking in a lot of ways that remind me of what a child would respond to something, and I'm like, I'm not fully comfortable with how I'm reacting because I know it's not appropriate. But when I take that out of the equation, it's like my inner child feels neglected. If that makes sense. Like, some part of myself just feels horribly neglected. And I can't just fix that by myself. Because even though a lot of people can do a lot of inner work to heal and all that, there's still something that's going on with me that goes far beyond, that goes far beyond what I'm able to deal with on my own. And now, a lot of people, as I said, they do some inner child work with the guidance of a therapist and stuff like that. Or they can just do their own inner child work on their own, based on their own beliefs and experiences. But in my case, I feel like some of that has been taken away from me. And why would that be taken away from me? I mean, I just said that I mentioned earlier that I may be holding certain things inside of myself that don't really need to be there anymore. And I assume that eventually those things will stop being an issue. But I think a lot of what's going on right now is just the emergence of that inner child that hasn't healed because that pain has not been acknowledged by others. Now, I can certainly say that I've got these problems, and I feel like my pain hasn't been acknowledged enough. But there is a small problem with doing this, because although it is so very normal to be honest and upfront, there's a time and a place for everything, you know? And it may not be a good time for me to say to someone, hey, I'm having some problems and I don't feel like my issues are being acknowledged. Well, I don't really understand why I would feel like they haven't been acknowledged. Because I mean, my parents know a lot about what happened to me when I was younger. Like, they've learned a lot about all that. Well, mainly my mom, but I assume both my parents fall into this. But basically, it's like some part of my inner child is refusing to move on because it feels ignored, almost like it needs justice before it can ever move on. And it has been a problem because it's not like a conscious thing. Like, I can't just be like, well, I'm an adult now. I know that things aren't exactly like as they were in the past. That's not me right now. The child that I was didn't get the luxury to just grow up normally. So any sort of inner child work was never going to be as simple as just learning to accept myself and nurture that inner child that felt like she never got it, because actually I don't feel like I lacked much as a child. But in one sense, I can definitely say that. Like a lot of things came up as I was growing up. Like my mom especially learned some of the things I was dealing with, and that may have been tough, but I feel like I want something that I don't necessarily have the strength to just stop wanting as an adult. And now part of this may be due to, well, actually, it does remind me a bit, this actually does remind me a bit of before I got my nasal surgery and how that problem wasn't resolved. It was not resolved because it was like I just hated someone because they were born. But when we take it in the context of, well, I was kind of struggling to breathe, it suddenly makes some sense why I'd start to sort of feel like I've been ignored. And now, obviously, I will say this, I have not been ignored. I've said a lot that I think my parents believe, but I've seen what I'm like, and I do believe that my inner child is the one that's holding on. I believe that inner child is resistant to moving on because there are aspects of myself that I kept hidden for so long. And because I kept hidden, the usual method of nurturing the inner child and helping her heal, in my case, it doesn't work as effectively, because rather than learn how to heal, I chose to ignore the problems. And because I ignored all of those problems, it's like right now I'm repeating something that happened to me a long time ago, where I feel like no one's paying attention to the fact I'm suffering. No one is paying attention to the help that I need in order to heal. And on one hand, when you're a child, that kind of logic, it may not entirely fit with reality. But think about an adult that's just questioning what's going on. Like an adult that doesn't truly think that the responses they're having to a situation are entirely... I mean, imagine when an adult gets messages from their inner self and their inner child doesn't feel like it's like she's imagine when someone's adult self does not see eye to eye with their inner child because their inner child is responding in a way that is not generally appropriate. Now, I do realize that a lot of what I am experiencing right now is because I have to heal from that. But I also don't know how to heal from that, if that makes any sense. Like, there's a lot of problems that I can just bring up in therapy. I can say, I went through this, I went through that, all sorts of things. But that does not change the situation and what it was and what it still is. And now, I haven't spoken to my therapist a lot about the inner child work and stuff, but I have mentioned it to her. And basically, it comes down to just, I don't have the understanding I need in order to heal this child. I don't even understand what it's like to be a child, because that was taken away from me. And now, if we're being honest here, do we want to say, oh, this was taken away from me, so that's not the kind of thing I want to say, because I do feel like some part of my childhood may have been somewhat self-inflicted, but that doesn't entirely change how I feel. And since I cannot see eye to eye with how my inner child is feeling and how to overcome those issues, well, I don't agree with how she's choosing to respond. And I don't agree that certain things, there are things I don't agree with, because I can see that things have changed, but that's why things like this are incredibly difficult to heal from, because a lot of inner child work is done with the assistance of a therapist. Now, my therapist would have to be available more often if I was going to pursue any kind of inner child work, because my inner child has been extra wounded. Like, I don't know how to heal myself from that. Although I do get messages that are an attempt to help me heal, but like I said, my inner child I don't even know what's going on here, because I've got people that are trying to help me, and I'm just like, I'm still struggling, because there's something that must be physical. There has to be a physical aspect to this, because I don't understand otherwise. Like, I've got a lot of support from my spirit, from the people that I get a lot of support from the non-physical entities that I speak with and interact with. But something about that support is not getting through to my inner child in the way that may be needed. And now, can a therapist potentially do that? Well, it's possible, but a lot of it is definitely very complex. And if we're going to assume that I should see a therapist about this, well, I mean, it's kind of difficult when you're working with someone that can't exactly understand what's going on with them. Like, you can understand if a child doesn't quite understand their circumstances, but it is much, much harder if you just, well, you know what I mean, right? Like, right now as an adult, there may be certain expectations that I understand some amount of what I'm dealing with, but if I don't, then And then what is a therapist supposed to do? Is they work primarily with adults, and they expect that adult to know certain things, and that adult just doesn't. It's actually pretty depressing when you think about it, because I don't know if a therapist could help me. I don't know if traditional therapy is enough. And that's where the problem is, because I sit here thinking to myself, am I able to heal from this if some part of me is refusing to do so? And obviously, I see a lot of people advocating for you being the one to heal your inner child. And I think my inner child is in part resistant to doing that. I think part of what my inner child wants is not to be healed by just my own influence. I think my inner child wants the kind of acknowledgement that it did not get as a child. It doesn't want that acknowledgement from myself, because I can already do that. I can already say, yeah, I did go through that. And I can try to support myself, but I've got abandonment issues, and that is not a joke. Like, I legitimately have those. I cannot heal from those issues. Like if I did not have these spirit friends, I'd probably be in a worse position because of those abandonment issues that I've got. I don't even know what caused those issues to develop. And there are a lot of things that can be done in therapy if you know the origin of things and all that, but there's just a lot going on with me right now that I don't think I can heal on my own. Like, these issues, my inner child wants something that it did not get growing up, and that inner child doesn't want that something from herself, because I've probably already given it to her and she's still not satisfied. And there's definitely a reason why someone wouldn't be satisfied based on what they can do for themselves. It's basically, it indicates, at least to me, that there's an aspect of my inner child that's wounded, not based on myself, but based on lack of what can be received. And what can be received? Well, if there's wounds surrounding that, then you have trouble receiving things from other people. So if you have trouble receiving things from other people, then I suppose receiving things from yourself isn't enough. So, yeah, there's definitely a lot that I need to work on, but I'm not actually sure how to work on it, because it seems like I want something that is, I don't fully get it. I don't fully grasp what's going on. And because I don't fully grasp it, I'm just like, what? It's just how it is. It's just how it is. There's something about my inner self that is refusing to heal for some reason or another. And I'm not really sure why. But I get the feeling this resistance is maybe a defense mechanism. Maybe. I don't know. Because I just feel this heavy resistance to wanting to move on, and this intense anger whenever someone discusses healing your inner child on your own, there's just this huge anger that results. Now, obviously, I have not told this to many people, and the fact I'm telling YouTube about this is probably, is definitely a symptom of the fact I lack a social life. Like, I cannot just go get some support. I cannot just get a bunch of emotional support from some friends or whatever, because that isn't enough. I need something, and I'm still not sure how to get it. I still don't even know what it is, which is the most infuriating part of all this. Like I'm holding on to something. I want something, but my inner child isn't actually telling me what it is. Like, dude, how do you heal if you don't... Like, how do you heal if you don't even tell your adult self what you're talking about? In any case, I'm kind of getting annoyed at the amount of points I've been dealing. I think that my deck should be able to do better. I'm kind of surprised that I'm like this. But, yeah. When it comes to my inner child, it's just like, she won't accept healing from me because she wants question mark instead. Like, I don't get to even know what that is. And I'm supposed to... My inner child is supposed to be someone that I was at one point. And I don't fully understand what is being... I don't compute. And now some of that may indeed be a result of resistance. But if I'm not willing... if my inner child is not willing to heal, I'm willing to bet it has something to do with those abandonment issues. Like, I don't think I've told my parents, or I don't think I've told my mom. Well, yeah, I don't think I've told any of my parents, either of my parents, and that I've got abandonment issues, because I don't think that they would expect me to have them. And to be completely honest, I cannot actually tell them where they came from. I can't tell them, like, guys, I've got these abandonment issues, but, so, I mean, they'd probably be curious as to why those issues are there, but I wouldn't be able to tell them, because I'm like, well, I know that I've got them, but I don't actually know how I got them. That's the thing. And it would be infuriating if that's actually one of the things if that's the main thing that my inner child is holding on to, like, why? But considering I don't even remember what caused these issues to develop, I'm willing to bet that, I am willing to bet that these issues, sure, they may not make a whole lot of sense, but those abandonment issues might explain why I've got trust issues. I can't necessarily bridge the gap there in order to heal, but, sure. I've dealt with a lot of problems growing up, but this is one of the most infuriating ones. And because I know most of my wounds, but when I learned that I've got legit abandonment issues, my brain just went to, what the hell? How did I get these? How did I get these? Like, I've joked about having abandonment issues before, but that I mean, I understand that was in bad taste. I wouldn't do that anymore, by the way. But you have to understand that, certain things were more acceptable back when I did it. But when I realized, actually, I've got real abandonment issues, and that joke was not a joke. Oh God. You can imagine my face when I realized that. When I realized that me joking about having abandonment issues was actually not a joke at all. Now, I will admit that joking about abandonment issues is not funny, but if you want to know where I got the joke, should I even say, because some people say, well, that guy isn't funny anyway. And, you know, it did start sort of in relation to Yu-Gi-Oh, but I mean, it was just the pure, I mean, listen, like, when I learned about those issues, I was like, well, I haven't been abandoned. I know I haven't been abandoned. Because of this and that and this and that and this and that. But there's actually a whole lot more that goes into this, because I've never been conscious of any abandonment issues whatsoever. And that's how no therapist has even heard about it. I mean, I think a therapist has heard of it by this point, but when they developed, I mean, I've gone so many decades not telling a single therapist that I've got these issues because I didn't know I had them. Yeah. I mean, I do think that it's not entirely, I don't think it's entirely a surprise. But I do think that it is very difficult for someone to understand how issues like abandonment can manifest when you haven't actually been abandoned. Now, when I think about it, I'm like, sure, it's hard to understand that. But where did those issues come from? I didn't just make them up. Like, even when my abandonment issues started, it was a long time ago that I even joked about having abandonment issues. And at that point, it was definitely a long time since I last joked about it. So even before I started joking about it, it had been a long time since I last did. And I just sat there like, where did these even come from? Now, I do admit that there are some possibilities for this, but I'm still just like, okay, if there's something that happened to me, I'd like to know, I'd like to know some shit, because this is not helping me at all. I'm just going to be honest here. This is not helping me at all, because I know a lot of things have caused me a lot of damage growing up, but since I don't even remember developing abandonment issues, I can't. I've never even brought them up before, so I'm still wondering, how would I bring up that conversation? I'm sure most people are most familiar with physical abandonment. I have not been physically abandoned. I have not. And I don't really know if that's actually the kind of abandonment that I this is super complicated. Like, I can't just be like, okay, well, I've got such and such in my past, so, and that's probably what caused them. It's more that, well, I didn't even know that I had these. So, how did I get through my entire childhood and most of my 20s without, actually, hold on. And a good portion, how did I get through a lot of my life not realizing I've got abandonment issues? Like, you would think I know if I had abandonment issues, at least in middle school. But I never actually felt those until that one night. And when I found out about those abandonment issues, I was not able to explain where they came from. And since I don't know where they came from, I can pretty much imagine that my parents probably wouldn't either. Like, I think I probably should say something to my mom at least. But I swear she's probably going to be as confused as I was when I found out, because I'm not even sure what form of abandonment issues this is taking. Like, sure, I have these issues. Well, what kind of abandonment are we talking about here? Are we talking about physical abandonment? I mean, I was kind of acting like it was pretty physical, but it wasn't. And I just, it's still confusing to me how I can have these issues, and it's just, dude, I can't explain it, but they're there, and they are not in my imagination. And as far as I can tell, I'm definitely afraid to get attached to people. Like, I'm afraid that people just leave me behind, and I won't. I'm afraid people will leave me behind, and I'll just have to deal with life on my own entirely without anyone, because I don't have the kind of skill set that people need in order to survive. And I'm just like, well, even then, this was before some of those concerns came to be around. Like, I'm still not able to understand this. Like, my abandonment issues are confusing as hell. Because I'm just like, dude, I can tell you the issue exists. I cannot tell you what caused it. And I cannot tell you I cannot tell my parents if anything they did cause the issues to form, because I just don't know. Like, I know when I grew up, there were times when I felt very lonely. But it never actually became about me having abandonment issues. It didn't seem to be taken quite that far. Like, I was surprised that I even have those. So how did they get there? And how do I move forward? How do I even get past issues that I didn't even know existed? Like, I can't heal a child inside. I can't heal an inner child if they're holding on to something that I don't necessarily understand. Honestly, that could be why I haven't healed from those issues. Because I don't understand what caused the issues. I don't understand what kind of healing is needed in order to actually be over them. But at the same time, does anyone else? I mean, I don't know. I mean, there are just so many people that would probably encourage me to pursue this kind of work alone or with the help of a therapist. But with the rate that I'm seeing my therapist, I feel like I'd be in my 50s before I saw any improvement. Although that's not quite right when it comes to my current therapist, because, well, I don't want to be rude, but I do feel like there's an age gap between me and my therapist. So I don't think that I can actually make it to my 50s and keep seeing her. But there's also another reason. Because I don't even know. Because, the other reason is I may not have the transportation to even get to therapy. And there are even more reasons than that. Like, how long would that person be in the area? Are they going to move out of state? There's all kinds of things that could just go wrong. And I mean, I'm fine if things are a bit difficult. But if I'm going to do if I'm going to do healing with my inner child, I don't think my therapist is the right person for that. Now, is she a good therapist? Yeah, but I feel like she'd be just as lost as me. I don't feel like I can just go to my therapist and be like, I've got abandonment issues, but I don't know where they came from. I don't remember ever feeling like I was so abandoned that I could feel it inside of my brain. I don't get it. I don't comprehend. Now, if we're being honest here, though, I found out about those issues when my spirit friends weren't able to interact with me. Like, communication was temporarily cut off. So, is the abandonment actually more on a spiritual, psychic level? I don't even know. But those issues definitely exist. And if my inner child is responding this way, then is it actually just from, like, is it possible that my issues also have a is it possible that my issues also have a physical form of them as well? Like, and do I feel like I've been physically abandoned, even though I don't understand what would give me that feeling? Like, there's one incident I can think of that might make me feel like I was abandoned and might result in these issues coming to fruition and me later forgetting about them. But even that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because you'd think I'd be over that by now. But, you know, if you want to know what I'm talking about, it's, my brother was born during a time when when one of my nostrils were still blocked. So obviously, as a newborn child, my brother got most of the attention because he was a newborn child. But my parents didn't know that one of my nasal passages were blocked. So they didn't know that they should see a doctor about it. It took at least a few years before a doctor was able to realize, something isn't right here. Something is wrong. So, the problem was addressed. I've spent a lot of time. I spent a lot of time as a child and in my early adulthood just hating my brother for no reason I could think of. But now I don't hate him anymore, so if I don't hate him anymore, then what? Then is that really what caused the issue to form? Not necessarily sure. I'm not sure on the specifics of that, but I'm definitely concerned that and that I'm dealing with some issues that might be with me for a while. Now, as I said before, VRAINS was able to help me drop some problems I was struggling to heal from. Again, I can't explain how it did that with how depressing it was. I mean, for one thing, my trauma is still there, so it didn't help me there. But it did help me somewhat. So maybe it doesn't matter if... I mean, my abandonment issues could heal from like anything at this point. But I think it really comes down to... it might be more like fear of abandonment than anything else. But then why that drastic... Like, I know I felt like I was legitimately abandoned right then and there. Although the logical side of me was like, no, you were not abandoned. Everything is fine. But my inner child did not respond to that very well, apparently. But, you know, it's just like, by default, I normally view my emotions through the lens of a logical perspective. Like, if there's a problem, I try to fix it, and if the problem persists, I end up confused because I did something about the problem. Why am I still bothered by it? Because I just don't understand all the complexities that go into having certain issues. Like, I don't understand what kinds of issues would form abandonment problems. And I think there are definitely other forms of abandonment out there. I know there is something called emotional abandonment, but I'm not even sure if that's what I'm experiencing. Because I felt this is just such an awkward thing to think about, because even looking back on that, I'm just like, there was someone trying to talk to me, and I still felt like I was abandoned like hell. Like, yes, someone was trying to talk to me, and I felt like I was abandoned. Like, if someone is talking to you, does that count as abandonment? I mean, I guess it depends on how they're treating you, but unless they're treating you like garbage, then are you necessarily actually... I don't know, I don't get it. And the fact I don't get it may be the reason that I can't heal from this on my own, because I don't compute. And since I don't have a standard case of abandonment problems based on my past, I can't say, oh, this must have caused it. Because I don't feel like I ever got abandoned, not legitimately. Like, sure, I know that my parents aren't perfect, but they could have done much worse. And I don't think that my abandonment issues are their fault. I mean, I can't even tell what formed them. But there's definitely this fear that I'm going to get abandoned later. And I'm just like, I'd rather not have that fear, but also I can't seem to drop it. And I've actually got some concerns about that, like from the usual perspective. Like, I have some concerns about it just from the modern day. Like, I feel like I'm not comfortable getting close to people because they could abandon me, or they could take advantage of me in some other way. And part of YouTube is like to break out of some of that shit. But at the same time, I'm so afraid of breaking free of it. Well, what if I actually was left behind and no one was there for me? It's a fear that seems to have me paralyzed. Okay, level 200 has appeared. Okay, I still like how I'm using Jaden for most of these. In any case, I'm wondering if Jaden will become maxed out. I doubt he'll be maxed out. I'll probably get tired of playing as him before then. Okay, let me look. Play 25 assists. Defeat the raid boss 20 times. World. I have a question. Well, I think I've got an idea of who probably had. I'm confused. Yeah, I am like legitimately confused. Like, okay. Hold on a second. What? How did I do that? Give me a second. I have to look at this. Like, winning a duel with them, like, I thought I would have to actually put in some effort for that. Like, I mean, I may have done a lot of auto duels, but, exactly how many water cards are in this deck? Okay, there's one. Okay, okay. Okay, maybe this monster was summoned, but there's only one there's only one water monster in the main deck. And if you want to duel using only water monsters, then I don't know, that's very interesting. I'm still surprised I did that. Oh, like, I'm still like, what? No, let's be real though. I do admit that's very funny. And I admit that I actually really did legitimately think I'd had to put in... I don't even know how that went down. I was not paying attention to that duel, but I was definitely talking. Yeah, I was definitely talking. Yeah, so, that was very interesting. Definitely something I did not expect. It caught me off guard. Yeah, so, yeah, I was definitely confused as to what I did because I didn't have much I could do without effort. But yeah, that's actually kind of hilarious. I mean, really. now I'm definitely going to go back, and I'm going to use up all of the duelists right now so I can duel them all again as Zane. And I do get some invitations from doing this. But now DX, I might as well level up the stage. But yeah, that was definitely hilarious. It was not something I expected to happen just like that. I mean, especially with Jaden's deck. I can imagine that duel was somewhat of a disaster. I also suspect that duel was one of the draws. But yeah, that was just so hilarious. In any case, I do think that I'll heal from these issues eventually. I'm just not sure how it's going to happen. Because, I mean, I seem to be pretty terrified about the idea. Like, even now, I've got these fears regarding people just leaving my life without me having anything to hang on to afterward. And now, I do admit, though, that I did inflict some of my isolation onto myself. Like some of that was chosen. It's not entirely black and white. But I will say this. Sure, it's not black and white, but it's definitely, I definitely gave up the one thing that was preventing me from feeling the way that I am now. And I knew I would have days like this. I knew I'd have nights like this. But I actually thought I was over those. I was so very ignorant. So very ignorant. But when I thought that, I've had more support options available. So basically, a lot changed. And I still believe that what I did was absolutely necessary. But also, I still know that because of what I did, I had to find a new way of dealing with these issues. And I don't think that one specific person is necessarily going to help me with this. Like, that's the one concern I have. Like, I don't need one specific person to take the burden of making me not feel like this. Because that isn't going to help me at all. That's not healthy. And also, I feel like it would make more sense for me to put in the effort to socialize with others. You know, like a large variety of people, like be part of a community where I can say that I'm friends with people that are so large in number that the support options are near endless. Like, I'm not depending on 5, 10 people, even 100. I can get support, and I don't have to take up too many people's time. It won't be the same people on repeat over and over. I'll be able to get support from anyone who's available. And I can rest assured that I'm not taking up anyone's spoons by wanting assistance, because ideally I'll get to the point where where spoons isn't as much of an issue since there are so many people in the community. But like I said, things like this do not happen immediately. And I know that there is a community that I could be part of that could probably help me with this problem a lot. But again, I don't feel like that community is necessarily the right one. Mainly because mainly it's because I don't think that my content can be well, yeah. I have a lot of mixed feelings about the idea of going to any community for this, because you have to imagine, right? You have to imagine the difficulty that would be placed on any community if you're going there and talking about your problems a lot. Like, is the community I'm thinking of big enough to actually handle that kind of thing? And now, I don't think so, and I'm also trying not to bring my issues into that community because I don't think it's appropriate. And I like the community as it is. It's basically an escape from hardships and shit in life, and sometimes you need that. But for me, in my case, I think there's something I need much more than just a community. I need a lot of consistent social interaction. So basically, I need a bunch of support that is consistent. Like, I don't really want to burden communities with things. I don't like to do that. But sometimes sometimes communities can give you that kind of opportunity. But I don't feel like the community I'm thinking of is the right way to do things. Because I think that it should be respected as a community that's basically you can just unwind. There isn't anything too serious going on. I think I like the community as that and respect it as that. But I also believe that in the long term, it may be best if I try not to get too attached. Because, like I said before, I'm not sure how much I can, well, yeah. I think I've said all I can on that, to be honest. But there is definitely a lot to think about when I consider how I overcome all this. And like I said, I think consistent socialization is part of this. Like, I probably need some amount of consistency. And I know I'm an introvert. One of the biggest introverts that has ever introverted. But right now, I think I'm starting to feel the painful effects of, well, I may be an introvert, but introverts know better than anyone that, sure, it's okay, it's nice to be alone every now and then to recharge, but being an introvert does not mean you don't want to talk to other people. That doesn't mean you don't enjoy being around other people. It just means you recharge in a different way. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I know how I was before I know how I was in the past, so I've been trying to take measures to avoid getting to the point I'm at now, and I think I've got enough socialization options set up to not just slip back into the level of darkness that I was in before. But I think that some of my responses, I think how I responded to that 7th episode definitely indicates that, sure, I get to socialize sometimes, but it's not enough. I think that's a valid way of considering it. But it's also like, I'm not really sharing much with others. I'm not really interacting with anyone on a regular enough basis that I would feel like I don't even feel like there's a benefit to having me as a friend, really. Obviously, I know some people would disagree, but I don't know how many. And to be honest, I'm definitely still healing. So while I'm healing, obviously some of the pain is going to come out while the healing is going on. And some of what I'm dealing with right now could just be the healing process that's involved in all of this. And so maybe this is just an inevitable part of healing from the problems that I'm currently going through. Now, I have been making a lot of videos, but I'm not on YouTube for fame or anything like that, or subscribers, really. Although without subscribers, it's very difficult to have data to study and look at, to give you the kind of ideas that I'm trying to figure out. Like, without subscribers, it's very difficult to find that kind of information. So, unfortunately, yeah, I'm in a bind where I do need to have a platform like YouTube, because being a content creator on YouTube will help me grow a lot. Now, will it be painful at times? Yes. But in order to get the kind of feedback that I want, I need to do this. It's important. It's not like I can't fix this by asking people what I want them to tell me. And because that doesn't tell them anything. They don't have any way of knowing what kind of information I'm looking for. And even if they did, how would they form an answer to that? So the reason that YouTube is so important to some of what I'm trying to do here is because I can use YouTube as a method of trying to figure that out. It actually gives me a lot to think about in terms of statistics. Now, do I hate statistics? Yes. Do I think most of them are bullshit? Probably. But I do think that what I'll see in the long term will be worth all the pain and suffering that goes into everything I make. And now, because I'm me and I love my astrology, my therapist was pretty much saying, well, what if you become a successful YouTuber? What if you become one of the big names? And I'm just like, I doubt it, but looking at my astrology chart, I can't say that's entirely impossible. However, I certainly do not expect that anytime soon. And I'm fine with this, actually, because it gives me the chance to build my channel. It gives me a chance to figure some things out. Now, while I'm figuring things out, you may imagine there's going to be a lot of confusion, a lot of chaos, all that shit, but it's going to be a while before my channel steps into what it's going to be. Like, I don't necessarily know what kind of content I'm going to end up producing in the end. Like, this channel may become known for something I don't even expect it to ever become known for. And that is definitely something that is quite likely, actually. Like, I may not expect to produce certain content as the main appeal of my channel, but I am trying to figure out, well, what kind of content am I good at making? Like, since I'm building a platform, how do I find success in life? I'd like to know what I'm good at, and what I'm good at that draws people to enjoy the things I create. Now, obviously, no one can answer this. No one can answer this to me. No one can just answer this because, one, they need a lot of, for one thing, everyone has different tastes and preferences. And just because someone has one opinion doesn't mean it'll reflect the thing that I'm most successful at producing. Part of my decision here on YouTube is figuring that out. What makes me successful? How do I define that? What do I believe? What do I believe is the kind of content that I'm known for? What kind of content am I going to become known for? Well, that's something I'll have to think about down the line. Like, I'll have to think about this as my channel grows and I develop more and more content. No, I'm never going to stop producing the content that I'm producing right now. But when it comes to what I'm known for, that could be something else entirely. And you may not even expect it. Now, I'm also using YouTube ultimately, I'm using YouTube as a platform to express myself. But I do think it's important, as a writer, for me to be able to look at a bunch of trolls and be like, yeah, they're just trolling again. They don't matter at all. Like, I have not published anything. I have not even gotten close to publishing anything. I am currently stuck, as far as writing goes. Although I feel like I should be writing, but I need more than just compulsions in order to get anything. I can come up, I can understand why I'm getting this compulsion. I want to be a writer. If I'm going to succeed as one, well, it's good to get compulsions to actually do something that I want to be doing with my life, right? Well, it's good to get those, but again, since I haven't done anything about the core problem, well, it's kind of difficult to actually do it. But I am planning to do some of that. You know, when Quattro's event ends, or there's a Quentin event and it ends, based on some things I've read, it doesn't appear that Quentin is playable yet. And I'm not sure if he's going to be made playable anytime soon, but I would not be surprised if that's why this event is being rerun. Although maybe it's being rerun for a different reason. That too is possible. That too is possible. Who am I to question who am I to question the schedule of the professional? Yeah, whatever. Anyhow, while I'm building myself up, I know that there are going to be some very tough times, you know? And I've caught myself getting somewhat jealous, and I'm like, okay, I'm jealous, but I do need to understand that what I want is not an overnight thing. I had to work my ass off for some of these things that other people have. And even if I do that, I have to go. You know, I will go far. No, I'm not. I'm never going far in that location. Anyway, like I said, sure I can feel jealous, but those people did the work. They did everything to get started with their channel, and they probably deserve everything they've got. Like, seriously, there are some people on YouTube that sure I may be jealous of, but that I think should take breaks. Take breaks, dude. I mean, there's one person that I can definitely say outdoes me in terms of video links. And also in content, but, you know. In general, I think that the jealousy is just temporary. I don't think it's permanent. And I'm not going to harm anyone with it, don't worry. It's just some pain. I can deal with that. But while we're on the subject of jealousy, I feel like there's some amount of jealousy with a certain someone that shall not be named, but I don't really understand why, because some of that jealousy is kind of, well, I don't know, I just don't get it. I mean, sure, I guess there's youth. I don't know, I'm not even that old yet. So I don't think youth comes into the picture here. I just think there's something that's going on that I feel like I have not gotten. And it's like, dude, what is going on with me Like, what is going on with me psychologically? Like, I don't get it. I don't understand this. But, yeah. I definitely do feel like there's a lot going on with me right now. And, sure, I understand that that what I'm doing right now isn't an overnight thing. That I do have a lot of time ahead of me. It could be years before anyone bothers to care about my channel. It could be quite some time. I don't even expect any of my content to go viral. But anyway, like I said, I don't really think that what I want right now is something that I can just have right here and now. In fact, I know I can't, and I'm very much aware and I can acknowledge it. Like, there's a lot of work to do. Like, I am not afraid to do a bunch of hard shit. Like, listen, I know that I pretty much know what went into, well, anyway, I know that most people that are successful enjoy what they're doing, because that's apparently what I've heard. That's apparently what my therapist has heard. But when I think about the large YouTubers that I see getting, a bunch of subscribers, what I'm seeing is basically what my therapist has said. Like, every big name YouTuber that I can find seems to enjoy what they're creating. And I do, and I think that to some extent, even I enjoy what I'm creating, because I can't stop making videos. But there are reasons that I feel like building this platform is important. And that does not involve playing a card game for the entire run of this channel. I definitely have a lot of work ahead of me. And I think that to some extent, knowing that is even more depressing, because I can acknowledge that, but that means a lot. That means nights like this where I'm lonely and I've got no physical playing support except from certain people that may not always be available as a source of emotional support. Because what a lot of people don't quite understand about being spiritual is the real deal is nothing to envy. Like, sure, you might get some gifts here and there. There might be good things about experiencing all this shit that is nice and spiritual, but being sensitive to certain things sucks ass. Like, the community that I'm in the one I'm talking about right now is spiritual, but what comes with the territory of spiritual is an increased need for boundaries. Like, for spiritual people especially, boundaries are extra important, because spiritual people can easily burn themselves out because, they care so much about other people. And I've probably reached some form of that kind of burnout, which is probably why I'm in the situation I'm in right now. But if we look at my other issues, there's definitely more going on than just that. Okay, I'm going back to Jaden. No, I admit that was very interesting. I did not expect that. But it's time to go back into raid dueling. Oh, I was definitely thinking about doing a him shark, but I decided not to. Although, actually, that is definitely a good idea. Because, yeah. Out of the way, Yuma, I'm taking him on. What? Oh, shark. Quattro, I won't let anyone defeat you, because I want to be the one to stomp you. This is crazy, Shark. You can't take on Quattro's number alone. Are you freaking serious? Yuma, you are completely wrong. You'll see if I'm actually crazy. If you're too scared to watch, you can leave. He does not need your help, Yuma. I'm sorry, but he doesn't. Okay, I see, I see. Okay, that's actually nice. Okay. So, it looks like Shark is a tag partner now. And now, I mean, he thinks that Yuma is annoying. I don't know what his opinion of, I don't know what his opinion of, yeah, sure. Well, actually, I think I should stop freaking out. I do that to myself too much. Oh, well, anyway. This duel makes no sense whatsoever, but here we go. So, basically, I may be lonely as fuck right now, but that's not something I'm going to be able to fix by just sitting here talking about it and all that. There is a lot I have to do if I want out of this. And I'm definitely doing my best to reduce the issues that I'm going through. Like, I'm trying to alleviate the worst of the isolation that could possibly happen. Like, right now, I can tell you this. I've experienced worse isolation. That is right. I've experienced worse. And right now, I am trying to make sure I don't get back to that point. I believe I'm currently very successful. But what I understand as well that because I am a spiritual person, this means that I have to be careful when it comes to the people I surround myself with. Like, I cannot act like I'm available as often as I used to be, perhaps. Because I do have a lot that I need to take care of. And a lot of that has to do with, well, I'm just not that kind of person anymore. I used to be able to, I used to be less sensitive to things. And that was definitely nice for the duration that it lasted. For the duration that it lasted, at least. But yeah, you'll pay for this. Oh, I'll pay. Is it because I was playing a shark? Oh, you may think whatever you want, dude. Man, that was awesome. That was great. Okay. Give me a second. Spawn. Okay. Okay. Okay, I have to duel the raid boss 5 times. Okay, well, I don't think I've quit. I don't think I've reached the usual 50 number, but I mean, I'm definitely doing a lot better with this event. I can definitely say that right now. So, yeah, I've spent this video just... Hold on a second. It's almost 2 hours. The video is almost 2 hours. Okay, well, I'm going to have to end the video soon, but I'm not sure I should end it in the middle of a duel. Let's just say that. Although 2 hours isn't the worst, I guess, but yeah. So I have to be careful with the kinds of people I surround myself with. Which means that I need to set more boundaries compared to the normal person. No, normal people. I'm saying this not to insult anyone, but I'm just saying that for me specifically, I am not known for the kinds of things that other people are known for. Like, I've experienced a lot of shit. But I also... I experienced a lot of weird shit and a lot of shit in general. But, yeah. And so, that's the extent of that duel. I'm going to end the video soon and then record one last video before I just go to sleep. Actually, do I want to go to sleep or do I want to play an all-nighter? I mean, the whole debate is just, well, I just slept so much recently. It was partially because of the pandemic. I mean, the vaccine for the pandemic. Anyway, guys, I'm going to end the video here. I will be back in a second, so stay tuned.